Following Martin Brundle's embarrassing altercation with Megan Thee Stallion's bodyguards on the grid walk before the U.S. Grand Prix, Formula One introduced new rules, or more popularly known as the Brundle Clause, on grid walks that prohibit security personnel from entering the grid and require celebrities to be available for interviews. Stay tuned to find out what popularized Martin Brundle's grid walks and what exactly happened that made Formula One introduce a whole clause due to the MTS incident. The importance of the grid walk tradition. The grid walk's goal in 1997 was to bring spectators watching from all over the world closer to the drivers and cars, and that goal still holds true today. Broadcasters have progressed beyond the grid walk since then and into the digital era. It was ITV's first year covering Formula One, and they wanted to do something special to commemorate the British Grand Prix, which was held in their country. Martin Brundle, who retired from Formula One racing at the end of the 1996 season after starting 158 races, was entrusted with the responsibility. Brundle was well prepared to interview the show's stars, despite his initial trepidation because he had been at the vanguard of the sport for the preceding 15 years. Grid walks considered an integral part of Formula One. Grid walks brought audiences closer to the racers and vehicles, making the sport more accessible not only to longtime fans, but also to newcomers. The grid walk gave viewers a chance to learn more about the drivers farther down the starting order. It wasn't only a Formula One thing to walk the grid. Jonathan Green and Steve Parrish, as well as other personalities from the motorsports world, began doing the same thing for Sky Sports coverage of World Superbikes around the same time in the mid-1990s, but it was Brundle who perhaps took the concept mainstream. Maybe the reason why Formula One introduced the Brundle Clause was merely out of respect for Martin Brundle's decades-long service to Formula One. Don't go anywhere, because we're about to find out why Martin Brundle is such an important asset to F1. Be sure to hit the bell icon to turn your push notifications on so you don't miss a single upload. The state of grid walks in modern times. After more than 2 decades, the grid walk has become a mainstay of motor racing television around the world. Brundle put his stamp on the section in a way that no one else has since. Brundle made the format his own during his time at ITV, BBC, and now Sky Sports, with memorable grid walks. Brundle's most famous grid walks, which drew worldwide attention, were during the 2005 United States Grand Prix, when he attempted to play peacekeeper while the Formula One spectacle disintegrated around him. David Coulthard, Jenny Gow, Neil Hodgson, Will Buxton, and Louise Goodman are just a few of the broadcasters who have followed in Brundle's footsteps. The grid walk has lost some of its edge that it had in the early years because it's now quite common throughout all motorsport racing events. However, some of this is due to drivers receiving extensive public relations training rather than anything a single broadcaster has done incorrectly. Despite the fact that today's drivers are more media savvy than in the past, the grid walk still produces remarkable, special, and spontaneous moments that broadcasting rarely does. Sky went behind the scenes with Williams during the Italian Grand Prix in 2014, tracking their every step from the garage to the starting grid just before the race, removing a traditional barrier for fans. As 2018 began, F1 TV Pro, a program that has revolutionized Formula One viewing, gave fans access to every single car. However, despite all the changes, the fundamentals stay the same. Grid walk is so established in motor racing broadcasts, now it's hard to see it ever going away. So you see, it's not that simple to dismiss Martin Brundle, the pioneer behind grid walks with a long history with Formula One, especially in such a disrespectful manner. More later on how the MTS incident unfolded. Stay tuned so you don't miss out. The MTS incident. Following the confrontation between rapper Megan Thee Stallion's entourage and Formula One veteran Martin Brundle during the United States Grand Prix in Austin, Formula One planned to restrict grid access entirely for bodyguards. Who is Megan Thee Stallion? If you've been living under a rock, Megan Javon Ruth Pete is a model and actress, and Megan Thee Stallion is the stage name for her as an American rapper. She rose to prominence as recordings of her freestyling got popular on social media platforms like Instagram. She is originally from Houston, Texas. 6 BET Awards, 5 BET Hip Hop Awards, 2 MTV Video Music Awards, a Billboard Women in Music Award, and 3 Grammy Awards have been bestowed upon Megan Thee Stallion. She became the second female rapper to win Best New Artist at the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards, following Lauryn Hill in 1999. MTS has also been mentioned in Time Magazine's 100 Most Influential People. She has a total social media following of 33 million people on Twitter and Instagram. It's no surprise that the whole episode drew so much attention. She's a celebrity. Martin Brundle, a legend of motorsports. Martin Brundle is a veteran Formula One driver who competed professionally from 1984 to 1996. Throughout his career, he has raced for popular names such as McLaren. Brundle is also a well-known and respected British television commentator, having worked for ITV F1 from 1997 to 2008, BBC Sport F1 from 2009 to 2011, and Sky Sports F1 since 2012. His quirky grid walks, where he meets drivers, team principals, and VIPs right before the start of a Grand Prix, have been a cornerstone of motorsport coverage in the UK across ITV, the BBC, and Sky Sports. Following a change to the FIA's COVID-19 limitations, Brundle was free to resume his renowned pre-race grid walks for the U.S. Grand Prix. The viral interview between MTS and Brundle. F1 had banned grid walks because of COVID-19 limitations, but they were reintroduced during the United States Grand Prix in October once the limits were relaxed. Megan Thee Stallion was a Red Bull guest at the event, and Brundle approached her for an interview on the grid. She was nice and responded to his questions at first, only for her security staff to send them away. This back-and-forth squabble went popular online, sparking discussion about celebrities and their entourages on the grid. Megan Thee Stallion appeared to be pleased with Brundle's efforts to interview her, but her security team had other ideas. A security appeared to whirl around to try to push Brundle away from the musician, while another at the back of the group, whom Brundle described as a Draco Malfoy look-alike, informed the 62-year-old that he couldn't follow and questioned the rapper, telling him that he couldn't do that, to which Brundle replied, "I can do that because I did," before urging celebrities' entourages to be more kind and respectful on grid walks. Brundle revealed the new regulations following his first grid walk after the pandemic delayed the start of the 2020 season at the Mexican Grand Prix on Sunday, adding that the new rules must be the Brundle Clause after what transpired and that it was his claim to fame. After the event went viral, Brundle took to Twitter to voice his displeasure with the footage being replayed and discussed on American talk shows and social media. Brundle remarked that he actually likes talking to celebrity guests who are genuinely interested in the sport than those who are there solely to promote themselves or a particular image. In light of what occurred to Brundle, Formula One has decided that any VIP who is fortunate enough to be allowed onto the grid will be required to leave their security entourage at home. Officials feel that the grid is safe enough that security teams aren't needed, especially if they're there just to be obnoxious. In other news, Sebastian Vettel, the German Formula One driver for Aston Martin, believes that the urge to investigate the incident in Brazil between Formula One title contenders Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen was somewhat unnecessary. Verstappen and Hamilton go head-to-head. Last Sunday at Interlagos, Verstappen and Hamilton went wheel-to-wheel for the win, resulting in both cars colliding at Turn 4 as Verstappen battled for the lead. Toto Wolff, the Mercedes F1 boss, found it hilarious that the stewards did not issue a penalty or even launch an investigation into Verstappen's maneuver, but it was later revealed that the race control did not have access to the Red Bull's front-facing camera during the incident. How convenient. Following the release of the video on Tuesday, Mercedes said that it would seek a right of review for the incident, with a hearing planned for 5 p.m. in Qatar on Thursday. If the right of review is upheld, Verstappen might face a retroactive penalty, which could have an impact on the outcome of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Verstappen said he struggled with worn tires before braking for the corner, but he was unable to hold off Hamilton, who eventually passed him 11 laps later for the lead. Vettel, a 4-time Formula One world champion, joked that he was 1 lap behind at the time of the altercation between Verstappen and Hamilton. They were fighting for the lead, so it's obviously the biggest fight going on in every race, the Aston Martin driver stated after seeing some of the film from the collision. A number of teams have utilized the right of review approach to try to spur stewardship action by requiring new and meaningful evidence. When asked if Vettel believed the increased usage of the right of review was a good trend to observe, Vettel said, "I'm not involved, but I think it's a bit unnecessary." Thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. Please leave a like, share, and subscribe to support our channel so we can keep providing you with more interesting content like this.